guys, Unboxing Tech here, and in this video I have the iPhone 17 Pro. And for it, I have a whole bunch of cases that we'll be going over, so let's get to it. Next up, I have the Apple Techwoven case. The Apple Techwoven case is your pretty standard looking case. It's called the Techwoven because it has a polyester weave on the back. Aside from that, it's generally made of TPU all around, and it has some aluminum button covers on the side as well. It has an extremely light weight of 30 grams. The Techwoven case is an official Apple case, so it has a pretty cool feature where when you install it on your iPhone, the MagSafe ring pops up matching the color of the case. And here it is. This is the green on the silver. Of course, being an official Apple case, we can be assured that all the cutouts are made to match. There are the strap holes here at the bottom corners that you can use with the Apple crossbody strap. The buttons are made of aluminum. And there is a camera control cover as well. And it's pretty smooth, it works very well, as you can see. The edges of the case are kind of shorter compared to like the overall screen size, so you can see the color of the iPhone peeking through the edges of the case. It looks fine with the silver. On the orange, it did look a little bit too noticeable and bright. But I guess it's personal preference. I've had a comment where someone said they really actually liked it. To each their own. Aside from that, there is a very slight lift around the front screen for the extra screen protection. The back camera is left wide open, but there is still a lift for the camera lenses, so you can put your phone on its back without any worries. I have used Apple's official silicone cases before in the past, and they've always been kind of meh, but the Apple Techwoven case is surprisingly high quality. It has a really nice texture on the back, and the sides are also slightly textured as well. It has the fabric, I think, which does give it a bit of a grip, and it's just very comfortable to hold in the hand. Of course, this is also a MagSafe case, so the MagSafe strength is pretty standard. It's average, about the same as the Fusion bolts from earlier, which is more than enough to hold up your phone when you have it with accessories. Of course, it is also MagSafe charger compatible. The Apple Techwoven case is a premium high-quality case. There are some things about it that detract it from being the perfect case for me personally. However, at $60 USD and a case of this quality, I'm not mad at it at all. It offers basic levels of protection and is slim and lightweight enough to just be a good everyday carry case. First, I have the Ringke Fusion Bold case. The Ringke Fusion Bold case is a hybrid case made of TPU sides and a hard polycarbonate back. It weighs at 36.6 grams, so it's really lightweight. And here it is. The back does have a slightly dark tint to it. Here are the bottom cutouts, perfectly aligned. The buttons are all covered up, and there is a strap hole right here. There's another strap hole here, so it is compatible with the Apple crossbody strap. Unfortunately, the camera control button is left uncovered, but it does ensure that it is easy to use, at the very least. On the front screen, we see that there is a large lift around the top and bottom of the case. The sides are left pretty flat, which is great for swipe interference or minimizing it. The back camera plateau is fully covered up with just the flash and the lenses having their individual cutouts. And there is a large lift around the back camera lenses, which is great for when you put your phone on its back. It won't scratch up the camera lens this way. The Fusion Bold case is fairly slim, and there are these textures on the side that make this case extremely grippy. Additionally, it has a MagSafe magnet on the back, black, to match the overall vibe of the case. And the MagSafe strength is, it's all right. It's pretty average in terms of overall magnetic strength. It is more than enough to securely hold up your phone and case at the same time. It is also compatible with MagSafe charging. So in summary, the Ringke Fusion Bold case is your pretty standard hybrid case. There are some key features to it that help make it stand out, such as the camera plateau cover. The sides are also extremely grippy. And the dual strap holes do help you use Apple crossbody straps if that's your fancy. The tinted back does look good with the silver phone, and I think it'll also look good with the blue phone. Not sure how it'll stand out on the orange device. From experience, not that well. But for $26.99, this is a great case to start off with, and it's definitely lightweight and slim enough to just use on a daily basis comfortably. I really recommend this one. Next, I have the AOHI Future MagArmor phone case. This is a hybrid case made out of TPU frames and a hard polycarbonate back. There are also some aluminum alloy around the buttons and camera cover. It also features something called a P4U polymer around the inside of the case. The P4U polymer is a special material that AOHI uses for their cases. It is very flexible and elastic when kind of stretched out like this, but under extreme force and pressure, it hardens up to be a very protective material. In short, you have basically slime on the inside of your case. Weight-wise, it's pretty average at 43 grams. And here's how it looks. Here are the bottom cutouts. Perfectly aligned and centered. There is a single strap hole here. The camera control button is left uncovered, but you can be assured that it works smoothly due to it. On the front screen, there is a even lift just kind of all around the front screen for protection. The back camera plateau is left uncovered, but the edges are slightly over the camera lenses. It's kind of on the lower side, if I'm going to be honest. The overall texture of the case is very smooth to the touch, but the grip itself isn't too bad. It's slightly slippery due to the material of the case, but the blocky design with edges do make it easier to hold, in a sense. There is a black MagSafe ring on the back, gray, I guess, not really black, but it matches the look of the case, and it is pretty strong. Very secure. It is also compatible with MagSafe chargers. The AOHI Future MagArmor case is a pretty standard hybrid case. It isn't too heavy, but it is missing the plateau coverage and the camera control button cover as well, which does detract it a bit from being a perfect case. It's also a bit on the higher price point at $70. I believe most of it is due to the P4U polymer that is added in, which does up the drop protection level of the case, although I'm not going to test that out. Next, I have the Casekoo MagicStand case. Ooh. The Casekoo is a hybrid case made out of TPU sides and a polycarbonate back. There's also aluminum alloy in the buttons and the back kickstand. It is a bit on the heavier side at 49.4 grams. And here it is. Here are the bottom cutouts. There's a little hole right here. I believe it's to loop straps around. And here are the covered buttons. The camera control button is left uncovered, which does ensure that it is easy to use, although left unprotected. On the front screen, we see that there is a even amount of lift just kind of all around. It's not that high compared to some cases, but it's more than enough to protect your phone when you have it on the screen. The back camera cutout is a bit unique looking. There is some form of protection around this blank area here. I'm not mad at it either. There is also a good amount of lift. Good, I say, but it's pretty minimal amount of lift around the camera lenses to protect it. The texture of the case is kind of unique in a sense. It is reminiscent of silicone, but it's not as cushiony in some places, such as the frames of it. It also isn't that grippy. It is very slippery compared to some of the other cases we've reviewed thus far. It is different, and I didn't see silicone mentioned on their website or product listing anywhere, so I can assume that it's just not. This MagSafe ring doubles as a kickstand. This is as far as it goes, and it also is rotational, which does make it easy to kind of prop it up in any direction and also set the angle, as the hinge is fairly strong as well. Of course, you can also just use regular MagSafe accessories on the kickstand / MagSafe ring, and the hold is pretty strong. It's also compatible with MagSafe chargers. I had this issue with the Taurus O-Stand case, which has a similar looking kickstand on the back of their case. Theirs was a silicone base case, and I believe this is TPU, but the issue is that when you use the kickstand, if you're using it at too low of an angle, there is a chance of the edges here digging into the TPU around this area and scratching it off. There is already a bit of damage to be seen from the way I was kind of swinging it around. I'm sure most people won't do that, but it is just something to be mindful of. The Casekoo MagicStand case is priced at around $38.99, which I think is a pretty good price for everything that this case offers, including the kickstand. Personally, I don't know how much the protection levels are, and it does feel a little slippery in my hand, which are some negatives, but the pros are that it is a pretty high quality feeling case. The kickstand is also super useful, if you're careful with it at least. Next, I have the Lonli Classic case. The Lonli Classic case is a so-called premium case. It's made out of a polyester casing with a genuine leather back, and on the inside is a synthetic microfiber cloth. It is on the lighter side at 34.7 grams. And here it is. Here are the bottom cutouts. The buttons are all covered up. And it even has a camera control button. And it's pretty smooth, yeah, it's not too bad. But it is a little finicky. Yeah, it's a little finicky. But I think with practice, you could get the grasp of it. Here's the front screen. And it has a pretty low edge to it, but there is a even edge all around. And you can kind of see the silver edges of the phone peeking through. The back plateau is left wide open, which is a bit of a bummer. But the edges do go over the camera lenses pretty reliably. I'm not much of a leather connoisseur. I don't have an issue with it though, but I can't really tell if it's a premium leather or not. It does feel really soft to the touch, and it is fairly grippy as well, although not that much compared to some of the other cases we've seen thus far. This is also a MagSafe case, And the magnet is pretty strong. I'm not sure how the leather will hold up with the constant rubbing of the MagSafe accessories over time. That is just something you'll have to figure out by yourself. It is also MagSafe charger compatible. So full honesty, I chose this Lonli Classic case because it kind of had a luxury brand vibe to it. It even came with its own dust bag, which I don't know why you would need a dust bag for a case. It does cost $39.91, which is a bit on the higher side, but considering the quality of the case itself, it's not too bad. And I know a lot of people miss the official Apple leather cases, so this may be a good substitute if you really like that case. Next, I have the Velvet Caviar phone case. The Velvet Caviar case is a hybrid case made out of TPU, just kind of on the sides and on the exterior, and it has a polycarbonate casing on the inside. It also has a soft microfiber lining on the inside. It has a pretty average weight of 41.1 grams. And here it is. I believe this is the taupe color. Here are the bottom cutouts. The buttons are all covered up. Unfortunately, there isn't a cover for the camera control button, but it does ensure smooth usage of the camera control. Around the front screen, there is a even lift just all around for extra screen protection. The back camera has that kind of unique covering. It is reminiscent of the old school Pros, if you do like that design. I'm not too mad at it. I know that you can use like different accessories with this kind of open cutout instead of the very tailored ones. So it really just depends on your needs. And it does have a lift around the camera lenses as well. Although it kind of looks like a silicone case, the feel of it is definitely too smooth and slippery to be a silicone material. It is most definitely TPU. It isn't the grippiest of cases, but it's not super slippery either, thanks to the slight texture that they put on the bottom here. It is bumpy, much like the Ringke Fusion bowls from earlier. If they just used the TPU by itself, no doubt it would be the slipperiest case on earth. But overall, not too bad. It's also MagSafe compatible. And whoa! The magnet is so strong. This is probably the strongest out of all the 17 cases that I've used, like even from the Pro Max and the Air and such. Yeah, this is an incredibly powerful magnet, which does give it the extra security, but also you could potentially damage your accessories. Like, I'm afraid my silicone ring is gonna snap. It is also compatible with MagSafe chargers. The Velvet Caviar case is a bit more of a girlish case. It does have a lot more colors than this, and I do think the design is pretty cute. It's a good weight and bulk for just an everyday case, and generally it's not too bad. It does have a mid to high price point, but personally I wouldn't mind paying this price for a case of this quality, especially as that magnet was out of this world. Probably the strongest from all the cases I've reviewed in recent memory. We're going to venture into a bit more protective cases, starting off with the Pelican Shield case. The Pelican Shield case is a hybrid case, technically. It does have TPU frames and a polycarbonate back. It is definitely on the heavier side at 64.6 grams. And here it is. Here are the bottom cutouts, as well as a dust protector for the charging port. The buttons are all covered up, and the case itself, as you can see, is fairly bulky. There isn't a camera control button cover, but you can go ahead and just use it pretty smoothly. And if you can see that, that's the amount of bulk that this case pretty much adds. So here is the front screen. You can kind of see the silver edges peeking through at the corners here. But aside from that, there is a slight lift all around. I think it may be a bit higher at the top and bottom of the case. The back camera does have a cover around the plateau area with just this kind of design around the camera lenses, and the flash here is also left uncovered. There is a lift around the camera lenses as well for extra protection. This thing is kind of built like a brick, and I don't necessarily mean that in a positive light. I'm sure some people do like this kind of design, but it's a little hard for me to hold with my hand size. Maybe if you're someone who has bigger hands, it may be more comfortable for you. In terms of grip, it's not too bad. The sharp edges that do make up the kind of squarish rectangular look do help with gripping the phone. And there is a slight texture all around the frames as well, which does assist with grip as well. The back has this kind of aramid fiber design to it. When I looked online, they never explicitly said that it was aramid fiber, so I'm guessing it's just the look of the case and not really a fiber weave. Not sure though. It is, of course, MagSafe compatible, and it's fairly strong. Of course, it needs to be because of how heavy this case is, and it is on there very securely. Despite the added bulk, it is also MagSafe compatible. Charger, I mean. The Pelican Shield case is definitely made for protection. Like, just from holding it, I feel like you could hammer in a nail with this thing. The price point of $70 might seem a little high for a phone case, but the general quality and build of this case does make it worth it. Plus, you also get a belt clip. Shout out to all my dads who use belt clips. Overall, I think if you're looking for a heavy-duty case that does have the additional accessory, this isn't a bad choice to go for. I think it's a good case. Next, I have the Supcase Unicorn Beetle case. The Supcase Unicorn Beetle is a hybrid case made of TPU frames and a polycarbonate back. It's a little bit on the heavier end at 59.6 grams. And here it is. Here are the bottom cutouts, and there is a dust cap around the charging port. The buttons are all covered up. And there is also a camera control button cover as well. And, okay. So it's a little finicky, but okay, yeah, it has trouble registering movement. Yeah, it's a little finicky. Here's the front screen. It has a overall lift with it being higher around the top and bottom of the case. The back plateau is fully covered up with customized cutouts for the camera lenses, and there is a slight lift around the camera lenses. It is high enough to protect it from when you put it on its back. It does feel a little heavy and bulky, to be honest, compared to just regular hybrid cases. The grip it's fine. It's a little slippery, but overall, it's not too bad. It is still easy to pick up and hold your phone, as you can see. The MagSafe ring on the back does double as a kickstand. It is non-rotational, but you can still set it up at any direction. You just can't adjust the angle of it while it is in landscape mode. The kickstand also doubles as a magnet ring, which is incredibly powerful and more than strong enough to hold up the phone and case. It's also compatible with MagSafe chargers. The Supcase Unicorn Beetle does have a more simplistic design, but it is still a protective case, as you can see from all the reinforced bumpers around the corners. It also has the convenient kickstand built into it. So the price point of $19.99 is more than fair for this quality of case that you're getting with all the little frills that it has. Although, like I mentioned, the camera control button is a little finicky with the zoom feature, but if you don't use it that much, then it's not an issue for you. Next, I have the Otterbox Defender Pro. It's a pretty heavy weight and only 2 grams lighter than the Pelican Shield at 62.4 grams. This case has the unique 3-piece case design with the kind of rubbery outer shell and the polycarbonate insides. Although it looks a little intimidating, installation is actually pretty simple. You just kind of put it all together. And here it is. So here are the bottom cutouts, including a dust cap for the charger port. The buttons are all covered up, including the camera control button, which is fairly easy to use. I don't know if this is a design issue, but the sides of the phone do show through the edges of the case. There is a large lift around the front screen, however, for the much needed extra protection. The back camera is left wide open, but there is a lift around the lenses for protection there as well. So I have been using the Otterbox Defender for a hot second, and there's one thing that I would like to point out, and it's that the camera control button cover is too easy to press in a negative way. Usually having a camera control button cover that's easy to use and access is something that should be praised, but if it's too easy, that also gets annoying real fast. It's not just the button area that presses the camera control button, it's the area around it as well, especially the edge here. I'm not even touching the camera control button, but because this is a connected piece right here, it does still activate the camera control, which gets annoying real fast as the camera just constantly opens up even when I'm not doing anything. So that is a bit of a design mishap, and I did reinstall this case just to make sure that, see, I just pressed it again, just to make sure that it was an issue that made from, installation errors. But that's just how the case is designed, and it's super annoying if I'm gonna be frank. Of course, it does have the MagSafe attachment to it, and I just pressed it again. It's annoying. It's also MagSafe charger compatible. While I would love to praise the Otterbox Defender and say that it's totally worth the $80 price point, I genuinely cannot recommend this case. Now, I don't know if this camera button issue is just something that's on my Otterbox Defender alone, but if it's something that reoccurs in all the other Otterbox Defender cases, then it genuinely makes this case unusable. If anyone watching this video has the Otterbox Defender for the iPhone 17 Pro and yours is perfectly fine, please leave a comment and let me know so I can get a new one. Last, we have the iBlason Aries case. The iBlason Aries is unique in that it is a 2-piece case with a built-in screen protector. The back cover is made out of a hybrid material of TPU and polyester. It's also pretty heavy at 89.4 grams. And here it is. The bottom has perfectly tailored cutouts with a dust cap on the charging port. There is a strap hole right here. The buttons are covered up, as well as the camera control button, which is easy to use. Yeah, that's very smooth. The front screen does have the built-in screen protector, and there is a good amount of lift just kind of all around the front screen as well. The Back camera has an open cutout, which is a bit disappointing, but there is a good amount of lift around the camera lenses for the extra protection. While the back of the case is very smooth to the touch, the TPU sides are incredibly grippy. But the only issue is that this case is pretty heavy, so even with the good grip, there is a bit of a challenge in just holding the phone due to its weight. Cool feature of this case is that the area around the camera also doubles as a kickstand. It goes pretty far out. At this angle, it's a little hard to use in portrait mode, as you can see, but in landscape mode, it's perfect for just watching videos, and you can angle it back pretty far without it tipping over. It's a pretty good kickstand. While I'm personally not a huge fan of this ring design on the back, it does let you know that it is MagSafe compatible, and the MagSafe is incredibly strong. Almost as strong as the Velvet Caviar one. It hurts. Ugh. It's also MagSafe charger compatible. The iBlason Aries is the heaviest of all the cases we've reviewed today. It does have the built-in screen protector, which does attribute to the weight. With all the features that this case has, the price point of $40 is pretty fair for this amount of quality and features that it presents. This is a pretty good protective case. And those are all the cases I have for the iPhone 17 Pro. I do have all these cases linked in the description box, so if any of these catch your interest, go ahead and check it out. In the meantime, thanks for watching until the end, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye!